The night she asked me to trust her one more time, my chest felt like it was folding inward. Not breaking, folding. Careful, deliberate. Like someone trying not to tear paper they still needed. She stood in the kitchen barefoot, arms crossed tight around herself, eyes glassy but steady. Not crying. That mattered. When my wife cried, it usually meant fear. That night, it was resolve. Please, she said quietly. Just one more time. I remember the hum of the refrigerator. The smell of burned coffee. The clock over the stove ticking too loud for such a small room. I remember thinking how strange it was that after 12 years together, trust had become something you could request like a favor. I wanted to say no. I really did. But love has a way of reaching back through time and reminding you who someone used to be. The woman who stayed up all night helping me study for exams. The one who held my hand at my father's funeral and didn't let go until my fingers cramped. That woman stood in front of me, wearing my wife's face. So I nodded. I'm not asking you to understand everything, she said. Just trust me. I'm handling it. Handling what? Exactly, I didn't know. The past year had been a slow leak. Missed calls, closed doors, conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Money stress, she brushed off. Mail she sorted herself. Long walks to clear her head. Every marriage has seasons, I told myself. This was just winter. That night, she slept curled toward the edge of the bed, back to me. I stared at the ceiling until the numbers on the clock blurred. Around 3 in the morning, I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. She didn't squeeze back either. When I woke up, her side of the bed was cold. At first, nothing seemed wrong. Her shoes were gone. She'd gone out early, I figured. There was a mug in the sink, a note-sized absence on the counter where she usually left reminders. The house felt paused, like it was waiting for something to happen before continuing. I showered, dressed, tried to push the unease down. Trust her, I told myself. You promised. Around 9, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anything. No packages. No deliveries. When I opened the door, a courier stood there holding a flat envelope. He asked my name. I confirmed it. He handed it over, already turning away before I could ask a question. The envelope was thick. Official. My name printed cleanly across the front. I didn't open it right away. I set it on the table, made coffee, stood there staring at it like it might move. Somewhere deep in my gut, something tightened. Not panic yet, just recognition. The feeling you get when you see dark clouds rolling in faster than forecast. When I finally opened it, the words didn't make sense at first. I read them twice. 3 times. Then I sat down hard in the chair. $200,000. Outstanding balance. My name. My signature, at least something that looked like it. I laughed once. Out loud. A short, disbelieving sound. There had to be a mistake. I'd never taken a loan like this. Never even discussed one. The dates were wrong. The account unfamiliar. But the letter was very clear about one thing. Payment was overdue. My hands started to shake. I grabbed my phone and called her. Straight to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. Called again. Again. Still nothing. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. There had to be an explanation. She said she was handling it, right? Trust her. But as the morning stretched on and the silence stayed unbroken, a colder thought crept in, one I didn't want to name yet. Trust, I was realizing, doesn't disappear all at once. It drains quietly, like money from an account you didn't know someone else had access to. By noon, the house felt too small for the thoughts bouncing around inside my head. I spread the papers across the dining table like evidence at a crime scene. Fine print. Account numbers. Dates that lined up with the months she'd been distant, distracted, gone. Every line ended the same way, my responsibility. My name. My future, suddenly priced and itemized. I called the number on the letter. Sat through the menu options. Pressed 0 until a real person picked up. My voice sounded steadier than I felt as I explained there had to be a mistake. That I'd never authorized this. The woman on the line was polite. Detached. She confirmed my identity, then read back details that made my stomach drop. The application had been submitted electronically. Signed digitally. Approved quickly. Funds dispersed months ago. Where were the funds sent? I asked. She hesitated just long enough for me to know the answer mattered. To a joint account ending in 4412, she said. Our account. I thanked her, hung up, and sat there staring at the wall. The refrigerator hummed again, like it had the night before, indifferent and constant. I thought about all the little moments I'd brushed off, The time she insisted on handling the bills, the way she'd tense if I reached for the mail, the casual way she'd say, "I've got it," when money came up. I hadn't trusted her because everything made sense. I trusted her because I wanted peace. Around 2 in the afternoon, my phone finally buzzed. Not a call. A text. "Busy. Can't talk right now. Please don't panic. Please don't panic." As if panic were a switch I could just leave off. I asked where she was. No response. I asked what the loan was for. Nothing. Minutes stretched into an hour, then 2. Each unanswered message felt heavier than the last, like I was stacking proof against someone I still loved. By evening, fear gave way to something quieter and far more dangerous: clarity. I went through our accounts line by line. Transfers I hadn't noticed. Withdrawals disguised as routine expenses. Money moving in small, careful amounts. The way someone moves when they don't want to be seen. She hadn't taken it all at once. She'd siphoned it slowly, patiently, trusting my inattention. I thought about that word again. Trust. When it got dark outside, I sat on the edge of the bed and listened to the house settle. I didn't turn on the TV. Didn't eat. I just waited, replaying our last conversation over and over, hearing the way she'd said "one more time." Not like a promise, but like a countdown. At 9:47 p.m., she finally called. Her voice sounded far away, thin, like it was traveling through a tunnel. She said my name the way you say someone's name when you already know you've hurt them. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she said. I closed my eyes. That was when I knew. Not because of what she admitted, but because of what she didn't deny. "Where are you?" I asked. A pause. "Too long. I just need a little time," she said. Everything got complicated. Complicated. Another soft word. Another attempt to sand down something sharp. I told her about the letter. About the amount. About the call I'd made. My voice stayed calm, almost clinical, like I was describing someone else's life. She started to cry then. Real crying this time. Fear, finally. She said she was trying to fix it. That she'd gotten in over her head. That she thought she could make it right before I ever knew. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I asked one question. "Did you plan to tell me?" The silence on the line answered for her. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time holding the phone, feeling something inside me settle into place. Not anger. Not hatred. Acceptance. Trust doesn't break in an explosion. It erodes. Quietly. Grain by grain. And once you notice the ground giving way beneath your feet, it's usually because you're already falling. That night, I slept alone again. And somewhere between midnight and morning, I realized the debt wasn't the worst thing she'd left me with. It was the certainty that whatever she was running from, she'd decided to run without me. The next few days blurred together in a way I still struggle to describe. Time didn't move forward so much as it folded in on itself. Morning and night lost their edges. I answered emails at work without reading them. Ate meals I couldn't taste. Slept in short, shallow stretches, waking up already tired. She didn't come home. Her side of the closet stayed half full, like a question mark. Her toothbrush still leaned against mine in the cup. It amazed me how ordinary betrayal could look when it wasn't actively happening. No shattered glass. No slammed doors. Just absence. I met with a lawyer on Thursday. I remember the office smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. He spoke carefully, the way people do when they know they're about to change the shape of your life. He explained what my debt meant, what my options were, what assumptions the law would make before it ever listened to my side. I nodded a lot. Asked practical questions. Took notes I barely remember writing. On the drive home, I pulled over and sat in the car with the engine off, forehead resting against the steering wheel. For the first time since the letter arrived, I let myself feel it fully, not just the fear, but the grief. Not for the money. For the marriage I thought I had. For the version of myself who believed love was enough to protect him. That evening, she finally came back. I heard the door before I saw her. Keys shaking slightly. A pause, like she was bracing herself. When she stepped inside, she looked smaller somehow, like the world had already started reclaiming its promises from her. We sat at the table again. Same chairs. Same clock. Different people. She told me everything in pieces. A business idea that went bad. Someone who convinced her it would work. Loans stacked on top of loans to cover losses. Each decision made to fix the last one. Each secret justified as temporary. "I was going to tell you," she said. "I just needed it to stop being a disaster first." I listened. I really did. Because once upon a time, This was the woman I trusted more than myself. I could see the panic behind her words, the exhaustion, the fear of disappointing me. But I could also see something else now, how easily my place in her life had shifted from partner to shield. You asked me to trust you, I said quietly, but you didn't give me a choice. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away. I didn't hold on either. That was the moment I understood something painful and clarifying. Love doesn't survive on intentions. It survives on truth. And truth, once rationed, changes the relationship whether you want it to or not. We talked until midnight. Not fighting, just inventory. What was left? What was broken? What couldn't be undone even if we both wanted it to be? When we finally went to bed, she lay facing me this time. Her eyes searched my face for something. Hope, maybe. Permission. I stared at the ceiling again, listening to the same ticking clock, knowing with a strange calm that whatever came next wouldn't be decided by promises. It would be decided by what I was finally willing to stop carrying for her. I woke up before dawn, the house still wrapped in that fragile quiet that only exists when decisions are waiting to be made. She was asleep beside me, breathing shallow, like even rest came with conditions now. I watched her for a long moment, not with anger, not even with sadness, but with the clarity you get when denial finally loosens its grip. I could see how tired she was, how human, how flawed, and how far past the point of rescue we drifted. I got dressed quietly and went into the kitchen. The letter was still there, folded now, but no lighter for it. $200,000 doesn't shrink just because you understand where it came from. By the time she woke up, I was already sitting at the table. I called the bank, I said before she could speak. And the lawyer. Her face tightened, not in surprise, but in resignation. Like someone who hears a verdict they've been rehearsing for days. I'm not doing this to punish you, I continued. I'm doing it because I finally understand something. She waited. I can forgive mistakes, I said. But I can't build a life with someone who decides for both of us when the truth is convenient. She cried then, quietly. No dramatics. No arguments. Just the sound of something ending without ceremony. We talked logistics. Next steps. What would happen if we stayed married? What would happen if we didn't? The conversation was painfully calm, like two people discussing a storm after the house has already flooded. When she left that afternoon, to stay with a friend, she said, I stood in the doorway and watched her walk down the drive. She turned once, like she expected me to stop her. I didn't. That evening, I sat alone in the living room, lights off, listening to the house breathe without us both in it. I thought about trust, how I'd treated it like an obligation instead of a boundary. How many times I'd chosen quiet over clarity, peace over partnership. The debt is still there. The consequences too. I won't pretend otherwise. Some lessons come with interest, and this one was expensive. But here's the truth I don't say out loud very often. The letter didn't end my marriage. It revealed what had already been signed away. Trust isn't proven by how much you're willing to carry. It's proven by whether someone lets you carry it together. And this time, when I chose myself, it wasn't out of anger. It was out of respect for the man I used to be and the one I still have time to become.